Now we are going to deep delve into this situation. Political analyst Javed Rana joins us live from Pakistan to provide insight and the latest updates on the ongoing Pakistan-India tensions. Javed, thank you so much for joining us here on A News once again. I know the situation is quite a little interesting right now. We've been known that Kashmir has been an issue between Pakistan and India. And Pakistan and India, aside from the Kashmir, they have a really strange relationship overall as well. So what do we think about what is going on right now? India has another statements and Pakistan is saying that it is not true. So what is going on there?
Well, I think they're fighting now in the international diplomacy, on the media. Both countries are coming up with their own narrative. India has been saying that Pakistan was involved in these terrorists and militants, whatever you may call them. They are Pakistani, or they had some kind of Pakistan's backing. Pakistan has been asking only one thing: where does lie the proof? You don't have a proof. And unless you have a very plausible evidence, you cannot blame Pakistan for this attack. Now the problem is that there is a history of India of basically conducting false flag operations whenever there have been high-profile visits by the Americans. From 2000 till now, I mean, there have been numerous incidents where later on it turned out to be that those were the false flag operations. I mean, these revelations essentially were made none other than by their own officials later on. But again, the bigger issue here is that Pakistan, since has been saying it's a false flag operation, at this particular point of time, both countries don't have any evidence to basically accuse each other of whatever they are saying. Again, Pakistan doesn't have an evidence about this false flag operation, but Pakistan do know about the history of false flag operations in India. And in a similar fashion, India does not have any plausible evidence to suggest that Pakistan in one way or the other is involved. India has been outing Pakistan's military chief, General Asim Munir, saying that he's the one who has masterminded it. Essentially, it is because of a recent anti-India speech that the Asim Munir had made, and I think that has been at the heart of the Indian propaganda, and they're pointing out that this is the man who is behind it, and he had basically indicated before this terror attack. I think this does not make sense in Pakistani political culture. Every third leaders, army journals, they always gave reference of the two-nation theories. They always gave the reference of Kashmir being a jugular vein of Pakistan. So Kashmir is a kind of issue which is very close to the heart of Pakistan. And you may recall that there have been numerous UN Security Council resolutions, from at least as many as there are 11 UN Security Council resolutions, which call for the demilitarization of both parts of the disputed Kashmir region and hold a plebiscite. India, instead of holding a plebiscite, it annexed it. First, it annexed it in 1947, and then later on, in 2020, whatever the little autonomy that disputed Kashmir region had, that was also taken away by completely annexing it into Indian Union. So I think in that context, I think it looks like what everybody is ignoring, that there are also other factors. My understanding is that there are two factors which are being ignored. To begin with, this could be straight away a homegrown militancy, because India essentially is changing the demographics of disputed Kashmir region. And people are quite upset. They believe that Indians essentially are trying to change the makeup of the population in disputed part of in India, disputed part of Kashmir, so that whenever there are plebiscite or referendum as mandated by the UN, more and more number of the people could possibly vote in favor of joining India. I think because of those reasons, people in Indian part of Kashmir, they are very upset. So, and there have always been many militant groups there. So this could be a straight away a homegrown. And then they are talking about Lashkar-e-Toiba in Pakistan. I think this was a militant group who in the past did support Kashmiri freedom fighters. But I think later on, Pakistan came under a lot of pressure and this group was essentially banned. Its assets were frozen. And I think another factor that I want to highlight here, that at this particular point of time, USA is desperate to contain China, because if it doesn't do that, after a couple of years, maybe by 2030, economically, China would be the biggest giant, and it will be the biggest economic power in the world. I think India is a country which Americans have been using. They have a Quad alliance in the Southeast Asia, along with Japan, Australia, and that in that context, I think there is a possibility that the American CIA could possibly be behind it, because they want to create a situation if there is a chaos in the region, if India attacks onto Pakistan, that means the China would come into this play, and there could be a war. If India conducts any bigger attack on Pakistan, that means China would be on the side of Pakistan, and then that is where I believe that Americans want to somehow or the other engage Chinese in a manner that its economy is destroyed. So who knows who is behind it at this particular point of time? When we talk about who's involved, essentially it is a matter of speculation. We don't know who is behind it, but certainly there are lingering issues. Kashmir is very close to Pakistan's heart. People are emotionally attached with the Kashmir cause, and then Kashmiris are very upset. It is a majority Muslim populated area, and they want to join Pakistan. So I think these are the reasons which I believe are causing a lot of border tension between two countries.
Well, this is quite the depiction of what is going on right now. So let's now deep delve into what do we expect. India's quick blame of Pakistan for the attack in Pahalgam raises questions about the credibility of such accusations also, because you have mentioned that it is not credible. Given Pakistan's repeated calls for peace and dialogue, do you think India's stance is an attempt to avoid addressing its own internal security challenges, or does it lie in elsewhere?
I think internal security challenges are not being addressed right now. There were as many as 500 tourists on that spot and that resort. And now one wonders as to why the security was not there, why the police was not deployed, why the paramilitary forces were not deployed. I think that lapse again would leads many people to conclude that perhaps it was a false flag operation to engage Pakistan and to isolate Pakistan. And we cannot basically ignore this very aspect at a time when India is extensively engaged in sponsoring terrorism in Pakistan's southwestern Balochistan province. And India has been conducting also targeted operations inside Pakistan. It has been killing many high-profile Sikh leaders and many militant leaders who in the past were involved in insurgency in the disputed part of Kashmir region. And you may recall also that in Canada, there is already controversy where Indian intelligence agencies have been operating and many Sikh leaders were also killed. So India has a good network of terrorism in Pakistan's southwestern Balochistan province. Not long ago, just about a month ago, there was a terrorist attack, a train was hijacked, and dozens of Pakistanis, including military personnel, were also killed. And behind that terrorist group, it was India. All the intelligence that Pakistan gathered that clearly leads toward that kind of a direction that India was involved. In 2016, the then Defense Minister of India, I can recall that he said that according to him, what Pakistan was doing in Kashmir by supporting freedom fighters, we will do the same thing elsewhere, which means in the Balochistan province. So I think it may be a kind of a tit-for-tat situation, but we exactly do not know who's behind it. Now, bigger question is that everybody is raising. Pakistan and India, they are both nuclear powered. And in conventional war, India has some edge, but in unconventional war, which is a nuclear war, Pakistan has a clear edge in terms of its missiles technology, in terms of its weapons, nuclear warheads. And then Pakistan has also basically manufactured nuclear warheads, which can be used within the radius of 25 kilometers, basically to cause the damage at a limited territory. Now, with such a lethal weapons, my understanding is that both countries can destroy each other, but they cannot win a war. This is a reality. In 2019, there was a similar situation. There was a similar attack in Indian disputed part of Kashmir region, and I can recall India then carry out airstrikes inside Pakistan. Two of its airplanes were basically they fell down as a result of Pakistan's airstrikes, counter airstrikes, and then it was a source of humiliation for Indians when its pilot was arrested, and then out of magnanimity, Pakistan handed over Indian pilots within 24 hours because Pakistan did not want to basically escalate the border tension then. But now, I think the similar calculations are probably being made in Delhi. And if they go for similar attack inside Pakistan, my fear is that the situation may not be very different of what happened in 2019. Pakistan have already said that it would retaliate. And I remember when Indian pilot was arrested, there was a humiliation, and India wanted to conduct more strikes. Probably they were preparing a missile attack. And then I remember that Pakistan had its contingency plan. Its nuclear warheads were deployed. So the bigger problem in India is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi belongs to RSS. This is a known terrorist group. And in India, many times it was banned because of its terrorism. And you may also recall that in 2000, the same Indian Prime Minister who was Chief Minister of one of its state, Gujarat, he ordered a massacre and ethnic cleansing of Muslims. As many as 2,000 Muslims were killed. And then his entry was banned in the USA. Now what has happened that the West is ignoring the persecution and prosecution of Muslims at a large scale, at an industrial scale in India. Every third person who is known to be Muslims in the streets, he is being asked, what is your father's name? What is your grandfather's name? Basically, they are trying to know that their grandfather may be Hindu, they converted to Islam, and then if he does not convert back to Hinduism, he is killed on the spot. He is a torture to the death. In many cases, it has happened. Many of the masajid, the mosques of the Muslims in India, those have been bulldozed. So, and in a similar fashion, India is basically going by what RSS has been saying since long, that they have a clear agenda. They want to annex Pakistan, they want to annex Afghanistan, they want to annex Bangladesh, Indonesia, and these regional countries, because they believe that some thousands of years ago they were part of some unknown Indian empire. So there is frankly speaking, a fanatical government in place right now. And the problem with the West is that they have invested hundreds of billions of US dollars in India. It's a big market for them. They are least concerned about the Kashmir dispute. Let the people inside India be killed by the RSS terrorist group. They have least concerned about. As many as there are 6 million volunteers of RSS, and they are the terrorists. India's government has prepared them for what? To carry out attacks inside all other countries at a time when there will be war. They are looking for a war. Now, 2025, many people in Pakistan, diplomats, they were predicting that there will be war in 2025. people were asking them, what is the ground? Why are you predicting a war in 2025? What is so special? They were saying one thing, that in 2025, RSS, this terrorist group, would be completing its 100th year. They will celebrate their 100th anniversary with their war. And they have made all kind of preparation. You will hear all kind of human rights abuses elsewhere in the world, but you would not hear it about India, because this Western media has been taken over by Indian diplomacy, and it is since a big market, nobody is bothered about.
Well, Pakistan, let's look at it from the Pakistan's perspective as well, has voiced serious concerns over India's suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty, a move that could leave Pakistan deprived of vital water resources. How do you interpret this action? And do you think that it is okay to put something so vital on the table for something that is not to be proven?
Well, I think what Pakistan has said, that it is an act of war. It is essentially designed to desert Pakistan's agriculture sector. It is essentially to destroy Pakistan's economy. You may recall that in 1960 there was a pact between two countries. It was brokered by the World Bank, and there is no provision in that pact under which this can be shelved or suspended. India has illegally done it, and probably Pakistan will be knocking the door of the International Court of Justice. This is the international law. But nonetheless, India has already done it. India has already violated it. It has been building dams on the rivers which are flowing into Pakistan. And it was already violating the treaty, but now it looks like that it would violate it in a comprehensive manner by blocking much of the water which belongs to Pakistan. It will block it through building dams and other means. So according to Indians' perspective, they want to destroy Pakistan's economy. But I think it could possibly lead towards a war, as Pakistan has been saying that they consider it as an act of war. This is a bigger picture. There are 5 rivers which flows into both countries. There is a shared water, and the distribution mechanism have already been decided under an international law, and India continues to violate it. I think in sooner or later, if this issue is not resolved, my fear is that both countries are very gradually, slowly, and perhaps in this situation on a fast track, they are heading towards a nuclear war, because Pakistan's nuclear threshold is limited. In case there is a kind of a situation where Pakistan thinks that there is no other option but to use nuclear weapons, Pakistan would not hesitate. Pakistan has not made public its nuclear policy, but my understanding is that Pakistan would be the first to use nuclear warheads, and Pakistan have multiple, my understanding is, mechanism through which it can launch a nuclear attack on India. And that is a bigger problem. And we have to also understand that this is a kind of a situation where Israel is on the side of India. And basically, this extremist government in New Delhi, it has been pursuing the template of apartheid Israel in India, not only in Kashmir, in terms of changing the demographics, in terms of persecuting Muslims, in terms of expelling Muslims from India, in terms of bringing apartheid legislation where Muslims are being discriminated. I think this situation is heading towards a very, very dangerous kind of a scenario, a dangerous brinkmanship. I fear this may happen, but let's hope that doesn't happen. If there is no intervention by the international community, I think the situation can go from bad to the worst.
Well, Pakistan's defense ministry also has highlighted the internal unrest in various Indian states as potential sources of such attacks. Do you think addressing these domestic issues within India could contribute to regional peace?
Well, I think there are as many as 32 insurgency going on right now in India. India, internally speaking, their economic figures are pretty good. They are impressive. but those economic figures have not been trickled down into benefiting the common people. There is still a large segment of the society which is extremely poor. So I think internal problems are there, but I think that is not the core reason. The core reason essentially is the RSS. It's a terrorist wing. It has a kind of a religious agenda whereby it has to do something because they are running out of the time. This war, they wanted to have war in the region some years ago, but I think 2025 is a kind of a deadline. If the common sense does not prevail in New Delhi, my fear is that they may provoke Pakistan, and then the net result would be that both countries will go into the war, and that will be a recipe for disaster for the entire world. It's not just Asia. The very impact of which will go far beyond it. The only reason I think is simple, that there is a terrorist mindset in India. They want to get rid of Muslims. As many as 200 Muslims are in India. It's a part of the population. It's a 1.3 billion populated country. Muslims have been marginalized in employment. They have been marginalized in the legislation. Their houses are being bulldozed, and their houses are being burned to the ashes. There have been frequent sectarian clashes in India whereby Muslims have been killed in their hundreds. Not once. It's not just 2,000 people were killed in year 2000. It is a different situation. In every year, you will find that there are some clashes in India. But again, the international media does not look into this. For them, it is again bigger economic market, and their trade would have would negatively impact if they side with Pakistan, because Pakistan's stance is basically is a general stance. Reason being is that there are numerous UN Security Council resolutions, and the Kashmir dispute has to be resolved. As per those resolutions. India is not willing to accept it. It conducted a general elections there, and instead of holding a referendum. And that is at the core of the border tension between Pakistan and India. What we are seeing right now, it did not happen for the first time. There have been 3 to 4 full-scale wars between Pakistan and India. And at the heart of those wars was a Kashmir dispute. And India is not willing to implement UN Security Council resolutions. In Pakistan's case, I think there are also lingering issues. There have been political unrest in Pakistan. And the most popular leader, Imran Khan, whose party won with 2/3 majority in the general elections, he was deprived to form the government with the bogus election results. I think, and the military has been at the heart of the allegations. Its intelligence network has been at the heart of the allegation. I think because of those reasons, there has been a lingering political unrest in Pakistan. I think that is where, at this particular point of time, the opposition parties, including the party of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, they have publicly announced to back the country's military, because this is the time where everybody within the country has to unify. And so far, I think they have managed to unify the ranks and files within the public and the political party. That is a positive sign. But again, Pakistan needs somebody to defend its narrative. Pakistan's narrative internationally is not making its impact. And the biggest reason is that there is an unrepresentative government in Islamabad, and the popular leader who can defend it, he's in jail. You may recall in 2020 when India formally annexed its part of Kashmir region, Imran Khan launched a campaign. And it was a worldwide campaign. I remember, and there was reports then that India asked Saudi Arabia and UAE and Saudi Arabia sent their deputy foreign ministers to Pakistan, requesting Imran Khan to tone down his public rhetoric against India, because Imran Khan was pointing out that how RSS basically loves the Hitler's ideology to persecute the minorities, to kill them, to expel them, something similar what Hitler had done in World War II against the Jews.
Well, Thank you so much, Javed, for joining us here on A News, and thank you so much for answering our questions in here. I think the situation in Pakistan is quite interesting one, and we are going to make sure to get more updates from you.
The growing tide of anti-Israel sentiments. What you see behind me is just tip of the iceberg of what is happening in the country. More than half of $52 billion black CIA budget is spent on espionage network in Pakistan. How would you handle it?
The US has looked upon Pakistan as an ally at one point and then as an enemy at the same time.
That is going to be the first legal reason on the basis of which he is going to be instantly ousted by the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Joining us live, Javed Rana, who's an expert on politics and geostrategic issues.
In the world politics, which is not being driven by any moral principle, it is being driven by the hard geostrategic realities. In a broader picture, more countries would aspire to have nuclear weapons.